Hello, my dear fight fans. Today we have some explosive news from the world of the UFC. So some urgent information about the hospitalization of Petr Yan. We also find out how Merab Dvalishvili and his friend sparring partner Aljamain Sterling named a specific amount of money for which they would be ready to meet in the octagon. But that's not all. Do not also forget to remember the rumors and stories from the history of the UFC when two best friends were faced with a choice: fight each other for money, or refuse the fight even if it's at stake with a championship belt. So will Dana White be able to force his friends to fight each other? We're going to take a look at all of these interesting events rolled in together. So let's start off with the fact that, as you already know, Russian fighter Petr Yan had a devastating defeat against Merab Dvalishvili. Now, the former UFC champion decided to give himself a pretty easy reboot. But Petr Yan, just 2 days ago, was admitted to the hospital, where apparently he was operated on under general anesthesia. Now, this information follows a video that the Russian posted on social media saying, "Friends, everything is under control. I'm at the base." Now, he was lying on his hospital bed when he said that, and he continued, "I was sleeping 2 days ago, now I'm home." So the fighter did not say exactly what happened to him, but judging by the bandage, he had some problems with his eye. Just a few days earlier, Petr Yan's manager denied any information that his protege would be fighting his next fight on December 9th at the UFC event in China against local fighter Song Yadong. Currently, 30-year-old Petr Yan is on a 3-fight losing streak, but he still ranks 5th in the UFC bantamweight rankings. Now, no one will argue that the last 2 years in the UFC have been a real disaster for Petr. After losing the belt due to that famous knee, the only bright spot was the victorious fight with Corey Sandhagen. And then came 3 defeats. Now, yes, 2 of them are controversial, but this makes it even harder psychologically. And a fight with Merab, well, that was the last straw. So in hindsight, it is clear that facing Dvalishvili was a mistake. Petr should have followed Cejudo's strategy by selecting a stylistically favorable opponent to get back on the winning track. Instead, he chose an unfavorable path against Dvalishvili. Now, it is already clear that Yan will not return until next year, and by then, the status of the bantamweight division, well, who knows what it's going to look like. Could be the same, could be very different. By then, the situation in the bantamweight division, well, it could really go either way. For example, UFC bantamweight title holder Sean O'Malley said that he will most likely have his next fight no earlier than 2024, saying, "I really wanted to fight in December. I wanted to headline a tournament with Marlon Vera, but then I talked to the UFC and they already had plans to match Leon Edwards and Colby Covington. I think UFC 300 will happen in April. It will be a great card, but again, they won't want me as the main event. I'm guessing I'll be fighting until UFC 300. Now, regarding Sterling and Dvalishvili, they both have stated that they were prepared to fight each other, but only for $10 billion. Yep, you heard that correctly. These fighters declared their willingness to face each other for such an astronomical amount of money. Now, of course, it's obvious that by putting forward such demands, they are essentially indicating their reluctance to fight, as no one is going to pay them that kind of money. But as you remember, Dana White recently expressed his bewilderment asking why Sterling and Dvalishvili even came into the sport if they were not prepared to fight the best opponents.
Why did you even get into this sport if that's your mentality and the way that you think? I don't even want the title. I don't even want the championship. We're friends. We're this, we're that. This is not about friendship. This is about finding out who the best in the world is. And if you don't want to find out who the best in the world is, this is not the place for you.
I get that, because Kane and I were in the same situation. So I get Dana's point, but I can also see where Merab is coming from because I was there.
Now, that situation caused some discussions in the fighting community and among fans. But this story became not only about athletic ambitions, but also about loyalty and friendship in the world of mixed martial arts. However, this isn't the first time such a situation has arisen in UFC history. In the past, there have been instances where fighters refuse to compete against each other due to their deep friendships. If you remember Lyoto Machida and Anderson Silva, they found themselves in a very similar situation. Machida initiated his career as a heavyweight, but his prime years in the world of mixed martial arts were spent in the light heavyweight division. In 2013, he made the move down to middleweight, and it was during this time that Dana White, the head of the UFC, expressed interest in arranging a bout between Machida and Anderson Silva, who was the reigning middleweight champion at that time. Silva refused the fight, explaining that Machida was his friend and gym partner. Despite all of that, White argued that the fighters must act as professionals above all else, and if Machida decides to challenge Silva for the belt, then Silva should accept the challenge. However, Silva remained steadfast in his position and stated that he and Machida consider each other brothers and adhere to a code of honor that prohibits them from fighting each other for financial gain, fame, or anything else. Ultimately, White was hesitant to risk losing one of the most popular champions in UFC history, so the fight between Machida and Silva never took place. But White's tricks didn't work with Daniel Cormier and Cain Velasquez either. Cormier's remarkable 13-0 heavyweight winning streak, which included a victory at the Strikeforce Grand Prix and triumphs over some top contenders like Frank Mir and Roy Nelson, left fans eagerly anticipating his path to the heavyweight title in the UFC. However, Cormier unexpectedly announced a move to light heavyweight. The reason? His close friend and teammate Cain Velasquez had the heavyweight belt. Now, Cormier's decision was grounded in loyalty and friendship. He stated, "I don't want to fight him. It's all because of the way he took care of me when I first came to the AKA gym. He has always been a good friend and helped me launch my career." This choice meant relinquishing a potential title shot, enduring some difficult weight cuts, and facing a dominant light heavyweight champion in Jon Jones, which ultimately marred Cormier's legacy. However, later, when Cormier returned to heavyweight and became champion, news of Velasquez's potential return surfaced. Cormier made it clear, if he comes back and fights for the title, I will immediately vacate the belt and move down to light heavyweight. I will never fight him. This is his division. Also, Israel Adesanya and Kamaru Usman had a similar situation. In the summer of 2022, Adesanya and Usman, two formidable UFC champions, found themselves in a situation where they were offered to fight in the octagon and were willing to shell out millions of dollars to get them to do it. However, the tricks of Dana White and manager Ali Abdelaziz did not work this time either. Israel Adesanya said that the money is not the most important thing, and that it is more important for him to preserve his African heritage by not raising a hand against his brothers in battle. Kamaru Usman also supported this position, believing that two successful Nigerian champions are much more important than one. Jorge Masvidal and Dustin Poirier, partners and friends in American Top Team, also refused to fight each other. Now, this is a great contrast to the situation of Masvidal and Colby Covington, who ended their friendship by fighting and hurling insults. However, when Masvidal bet $100,000 on Poirier's victory, things did not go according to plan. Gaethje surprised everyone and took the BMF belt. Now, Masvidal is thinking about coming back for revenge.
I put $100,000 on Dustin Poirier versus Justin Gaethje this Saturday from Utah, live. That's it. They're gonna look at me and tell me to tell you something else, but that's all you need to know. MyBookie.ag and go place your bets. I put $100,000 on. Shut up back there.
Who'd you bet on?
Dustin Poirier.
There's also the story of Khamzat Chimaev and Darren Till. Two fighters who became the Smesh brothers began their friendship in 2022 and spent a lot of time together, even training and spotting each other's fights. However, in one of the interviews, journalist Ariel Helwani asked Chimaev about a potential fight with Till. Chimaev replied, "No, not with him. I know he's ready to fight, but I'm not. I can't fight with my brothers. But Darren doesn't care. He only fights for money."
You're saying, what is that shit? This is not shit, it's brothers relationship, brother. What you and Habib doing that shit, brother, in the
What do you
gym,
mean
you
with
know?
me and Habib doing this shit?
Yeah, you and Habib doing same shit in the gym.
But
Or
we
what
don't-
you can say about that?
You and Darren Till, you walk, you put your arm on his shoulder like this.
Yeah, it's
He's
my brother.
best friend. Huh?
Yeah.
Brother, you like killer. You gotta be killer. You cannot have best friend like this.
You need the friends as well, brother. You
Huh?
can't be alone.
After that, Till left the UFC and rumors of a quarrel appeared, but Chimaev denied them, emphasizing his affection for Darren. So that is all for today. If you liked the video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel because it is very important to us, and thank you all in advance.